I'm Rakesh. I recently sold my house, went through the whole transaction using the app. It was only on patient, so it came up fairly early in the conversations. They asked if I was willing to go through and do the process using the app. It sounded interesting, so I was quite keen to give it a try. So it came up and they explained that all the communication will be done through the app and that we'll be able to do all the forms and things like that as well. So having moved a few times, it sounded like quite a good prospect to do it all through the phone. I was really impressed, actually. It was intuitive, which was really helpful, because I think that's always the key with an app, of just how well you're going to get on with it. I found almost straight away that I knew how to navigate it and where I needed to go. Everything was signposted really clearly. So yeah, I was impressed, and it clearly set out what the steps were going to be that I needed to go through, and what needed to be done to get the transaction completed. Really easy. I think the best thing about it, I've moved a few times, and when I've sold houses, the forms can be a bit of a pain, if I'm being completely honest with you. Being able to do all of that through your phone, it takes, I'd say, less than half the time, because you can just sort of fly through and sign all the papers. I think I did virtually the whole process without having to have any hard copies of anything, of any document at all, which was excellent. I've got a record of where everything is. I know exactly where to find everything. And the other thing is that the communication, I found the firm Only on Patient were really responsive, so I'd use the sort of chat function within the app if I had a question, or if I needed to check anything or chase anything. And actually, it was a marked difference, because the buyers who were using another firm, they were constantly not able to get hold of their solicitors, not really getting answers to the questions that they needed. Whereas I found I'd drop in a question and I'd know pretty quickly that I'd get a response back. So I think that was really impressive. Absolutely. I had the details of the person that I was working with, so I think I had the option to call if I needed to, but I never really felt like I had to. Everything was done through the app. I think it worked brilliantly. But there was no point at which I felt that I wasn't in the loop. I always knew what was going on, which stage of the process we were at. I always knew that, that my forms had been submitted, so I never had to think, oh, have I done this or not? Because I could pick up the phone and have a look through and look at the stuff that I've completed, and it was all there. So it was great. The communication element, I think, was excellent. I really felt like I was able to sort of pick up with the person that I was dealing with all the time. She was really responsive. I had a full audit trail of everything that was discussed, which was great. Having filled those forms out in paper a couple of times, they take a long time when you're doing it on paper, but on the phone you seem to fly through it. So the fact that everything can be done there, and the fact that we can sign the forms using the app as well, was great. It just meant that the whole thing wasn't slowed down by putting stuff in the post or having to scan documents and get them sent over. It was just really quick and efficient. I think I did most of the transaction sat on my sofa. At the end of a work day, I didn't really have to go out of my way to kind of do to go through the whole process. So it was great. The fact that it was so intuitive and it was intelligent enough to do those things, I found really impressive. I just thought it was really good in that sense, because you can easily find yourself kind of drowning in paperwork when you're going through these sorts of things, even though it's a fairly straightforward transaction. Whereas I found everything's on the phone. There's a record of it all there. I was able to look back and make sure and check all of the documents that I'd submitted if I needed to. So yeah, I thought it was really good. I'd be really reluctant. I think having used something like this now, and knowing how it can be so much easier, I'd be really reluctant to not use a firm that had it.